Hello YouTube, welcome to another SRPG Studio tutorial. Today's topic is going to be destructible terrain. Your walls, your snags, which were used frequently in the GBA games, and in the Tellius games you even had destructible doors that you didn't really need to use keys on because you could bash them open. We're going to be covering that and more. My main inspiration for making this tutorial in particular was I have just completed Chapter 8 of Broken Legacy, where it has destructible walls. So I asked the author of that game how they pulled off the destructible walls, and they answered, and I thought, oh, this would make for a great tutorial video, so here we go. So the basic idea for creating a wall in SRPG Studio is that we are going to use a unit as a stand-in for the wall itself. In SRPG Studio, unlike with ROM hacking the GBA Fire Emblem games, you cannot simply plop down a wall and say that's a destructible wall. You can attack it, and the tiles change when you attack it. Instead, we have to use a unit as a stand-in. Fortunately, it is not all that complicated to pull off the same kind of thing in SRPG Studio. It's just going to look a little less elegant. So the first thing you want to do is go into the database, and you want to go into your classes. We're going to create a new class specifically for the wall tile. Here it is. Now, I've set it to use the chicken sprite as a sprite, which probably looks really silly. If you want to create a sprite specifically for the wall and or snag, you are free to do so. If you want to just have the terrain take care of the graphical aspect of this, then you can just set the sprite to no sprite whatsoever by selecting none all the way down here. However, if you do that, then this is what happens in the editor itself, and I can't stand working with that. So I am just going to have the chicken sprite as a placeholder. And then I could use anything as a placeholder, actually. Where's the chick? There it is. So that's just going to be a placeholder. When if this were a real game, then when I release it, I would just take away the sprite entirely, and then there would just be no sprite. So there you go. You can also set a battle animation if you wish. Just select any one of these and select your battle animation if you want there to be an animation. If all three of these say none, then the game is just going to use map animations when you attack the wall. And if that's what you want, then go ahead. But you could also create a wall battle animation if you wanted to. I don't think there would be much of a point to it. So for the stats, you can just set these as all zeros. We obviously don't want the wall to have stats. Unfortunately, the player is going to be able to view the stat sheet of the wall. And another thing that's going to happen is when they attack the wall, since we're using a unit as a stand-in, the unit is going to be subject to all of the normal rules. So the player could conceivably double the wall, activate skills on the wall, miss the wall, which is funny, but you probably don't want that to happen. So what I've done is I've given the wall a skill. This is called the wall skill. It is a completely unique skill. It is completely invisible. I've hidden it away from the menu so that the player can't see it. What it is a support skill, and the scope of the support is going to be self, so it's a boost to the unit that owns it, and the avoid plus is going to be set to -99. This makes it so that the player cannot miss attacking the wall. In fact, I'll just set it to -999 if I want. And you can also set crit avoid to +999 in case you want to make it so that they cannot crit the wall. And if you want to take it a step further, you could also create a nihil type skill, one that negates enemy activated skills, so that the player cannot activate skills on the wall. And unfortunately, the only way to really... Is there a skill here for parameter boosts? Yeah, there's a parameter bonus skill. So what you could also do is that you could give the wall 99 speed or something. Something to prevent the player from doubling the wall innately. Or you can use a plugin that creates the Wary Fighter skill. This is something Goenza came up with. Same author as the Weapon Ranks plugin. I will link this plugin in the description. It makes it a skill that prevents either side from doubling. Wary Fighter. It comes from one of the later Fire Emblem games. Also, because it's a unit, and because it's able to be attacked by the player can gain experience points from attacking the wall. That is probably something you don't want. Unfortunately, there is no native way in SRPG Studio to set up an enemy unit to give 0 EXP. Fortunately, another plugin writer, Lady Rena this time, has you covered. Lady Arena has created a plugin that allows you to designate a unit as giving 0 EXP. In fact, I believe Robinco used it in Broken Legacy, so I will link to that too. See the description for all of that, and look at the plugins themselves for directions on how to use them. So, with your wall class setup, with whatever skills you want to give it, with whatever additional properties you might have for it, maybe you want something that's effective against walls in particular, I don't know. But in the map itself, creating a wall is very simple. You just have to create a unit that uses the wall class. Make sure its movement is set to 0 so that it cannot move. In fact, you can prevent it from moving entirely by just going to its action pattern and selecting wait and wait only. So it will do absolutely nothing on its turn. You can set its HP to whatever you want, and by this point you're probably thinking, well, it's great that I have a wall unit, but what if, like, how am I going to make it so that either side can attack the wall? Because walls are supposed to be neutral units. Either the player or the enemy could attack them. So what do you do in that case? Well, here's the solution. This is how Broken Legacy handles it. Go into your auto events, and you are going to create an event called, let's see, which event was it? I've got a couple here from the previous tutorial videos. Change wall 1. Alright, so this is an event I created. It's just a basic auto event that activates at the start of the enemy phase. What it does is that it uses an extensive command to change all walls to an allied unit, which means they all become green units. Then you want to have another event command that changes the event status to free so that it can be executed at the start of every enemy phase. Now the other event that you're going to create is another auto event for changing the allegiance of the walls. This time it will activate at the start of the player phase, and you want to, again, you want to change the event status to free so that it can activate at the start of every player phase. And this time it's going to change all of the walls to an enemy unit. So the way this works is that at the start of the player phase, all of the walls change to enemy units so that the player can attack them. And then at the start of the enemy phase, all of the wall units are changed to allied green units so that the enemy can attack them. And that's basically how it works. At the start of the enemy phase, we change the wall units to green units so that the red units can attack them. And then at the start of the player phase, we change them to red units so that the player can attack them. If you would like to prevent the enemy from attacking walls for a particular chapter, all you have to do is get rid of the auto event that changes them all to green units, because then all of the walls will be treated as ally units, but you do kind of have to account for the possibility of the, there's a couple of possibilities that you have to account for, because again, like I mentioned, the wall units are going to be subject to the same rules as the player units. So if, for example, you have enemy healers, you would want to make it so that their heal staves do not work on walls. And you would also want to make it so that the rescue and capture commands do not work on walls, because you wouldn't want the player to be able to capture a wall unit. That would be just silly. But it would be funny. Like, if you want to go for funny, that's entirely up to you. So there's only one piece of the puzzle missing at this moment. How do we make it so that when the wall unit dies, the tiles change? Well, that's very simple also. Go to your unit, go to the unit events for that unit, and you're going to create a new unit event. There are 3 different kinds of unit events you can create for enemies. You can create a death event when they die. You can make an active turn event. When they take their turn, the event will run. And you can make a battle event, which will occur when the unit battles with a specific unit, or whoever the active unit happens to be. This is what you would do for boss quotes, battle conversations, and the like. But we are going to create a death event, and the death event is simply going to contain, you could put a sound effect in here if you wanted to, but it is simply going to contain a change map chip event. And that event is found, it is under battle, and it's right over here on the right. Change map chip, and then you go into the change map chip event and you just change whatever map tiles you want to be changed. This is the changes that will take place when the unit is dead. So that concludes my explanation on how to make a basic destructible wall through creating a unit. Let's demonstrate how it works in-game. Now just keep in mind, I do not have the 0EXP plugin installed, so this wall is going to give me EXP when I attack it. However, as you will see, when the enemy destroys it on the enemy phase, it will be removed from the map, and the wall will be changed as we defined in the change map chip event command. And there you go. Nice and easy, right? Next, I'll explain how to create a destructible door like in the Tellius games. A destructible door is really just a destructible wall, except you can also use a door key to open it as well. So this is very easy. Just create a destructible wall unit like we just went over, but this time you're going to add an event to the same tile that the wall unit is on. So go to event mode, make sure you're in event mode by clicking this thing up here, and then right-click on the tile your wall unit is on, click New Event, and you're going to make this a door event. A door event in SRPG Studio is defined as an event that is activated when a unit uses a door key on the tile, or they use the unlock skill on the tile. So thieves with the unlock skill, or any unit with a door key can activate this event. And in the actual event command, you are going to not only change the map chip in order to open the door, like we did with the unit dying, but you are also going to remove the unit that is on that tile by using this remove unit command. So I've already created this. I'll just show you what it is right now. As you can see, first we changed the map chip, same as when the unit died. And then we also remove the wall unit, because if you just leave the unit there, it's going to block the other units anyways. So just select the appropriate unit here. And then for remove type, I would probably put erased. There's a difference between erased and died. Erased just means they get removed from the map. Died means it counts as an actual death, and will probably play death events. So keep that in mind. So, with that out of the way, I will demonstrate using a door key on this wall unit. And there you go. You can either go into your item menu and select the door key there, or use the door command, I believe. But yeah. But of course there is a little bit more to destructible walls. Now, in some of the GBA games, there were walls that were 2 tiles high, but both had the same HP count. How do you go about doing that in SRPG Studio? Because in Broken Legacy, one thing I did not touch upon in my playthrough is that the destructible walls that were multiple tiles high, they all had individual HP counts, even though destroying one brought down the entire wall. However, I have developed a way to synchronize all of the HP counts of the units that are part of that destructible wall. It's not that elegant because it looks really weird when you view it in-game, like I'll demonstrate it for you guys after I explain how it works. But this would be the way to do walls that are 2 tiles high yet share the same HP count. So basically, the idea is these 2 units over here, these are wall units, but they are both going to be part of the same wall and do the exact same thing when they are destroyed. So they are like any other wall unit. However, you want to go into their unit events. Notice that when one dies, the other unit gets erased, just like with the door event from earlier, and they both have the same change map chip command. That's the easy part. But in order to synchronize their HP, we have to do something a little crafty, I would say. We're going to create an auto event. You need one of these auto events for every wall unit that is synchronized. The basic idea behind this is that whenever one wall unit gets attacked and loses some health, it has to change the HP of all other units that are a part of the same wall to match the new HP count. So in your auto event, the condition is going to be such and such wall unit is not at full health. And that is an option. I will show where it is. It's right over here under current HP. Just check not full health. Alright. So, in the actual event itself, you again want to change the event state to free so that the event can be run multiple times. And then the next thing you want to do is store the current HP of the wall unit to a variable. So go into change variable. Pick any variable you want that isn't being used by anything else. under operand, go to unit and select the appropriate wall unit, and then check current HP, which is right here under unit ID. So that will store the current HP of the wall unit to the variable. And then you want to create a change stats command. That command can be found over here in the bottom right. So you want to make a change stats command, select the wall unit again, and then under stats you want to select HP and then the variable that you stored the current HP of the wall unit to earlier, and then under this drop box select set. And then you want to do that again for every wall unit that is part of the same wall. And then you want to create another auto event that does the same thing, except the activation condition this time is that the other wall unit took some damage. So by doing it this way, anytime one of the wall units takes damage, all of the other wall units will have their HP set to the new HP value of the wall that just took damage. The reason this is not that elegant, well, actually I'll just demonstrate it and let you see for yourself. You see what I mean? You can see that it's working perfectly fine here. The issue is that the maximum HP drops as well, so it kind of looks a little bit strange seeing the maximum HP of the unit drop. But this also prevents the auto events that we just created from running constantly, because now they are at full health, because when you lower a unit's maximum HP below their current HP will also drop to match. And of course, whenever we destroy one of them, they both go away and the map tile changes that we defined in the death events take place. So there you go. Right, so that's how to create some basic destructible walls. And if you were wanting to create a snag that the player can knock down, it is basically the same thing. Create the snag as a unit, and then in the death event for the snag, you input whatever map tile changes you want to take place, and they will take place when the unit is dead. So there you go. Now, this is not an F-Frame 225 tutorial unless I do something crazy. So I was thinking to myself, what if I could create a snag that would dynamically fall in any direction based on whatever direction the player hit it from. So I got to work on such a thing, and I was able to do it, but well, let's just say this involves quite a bit of math, and if you don't like math, and I don't, this is going to be just a little bit painful, but I think this is going to really open your mind and think of some crazy new ideas, because that is my goal with these tutorial videos, to get people to think of crazy new ideas, because you can tweak all of these methods however you wish. Like, you don't have to follow what I do exactly. If you're a beginner, you can follow what I do exactly, but this is going to be some advanced stuff coming up right here, so if you're not interested in this, you don't have to watch. That's all I'm saying. Right, so creating a snag that falls in whatever direction the player hit it from. How do we go about this? Well, first thing is that we are going to learn about what a bookmark unit is. Go into your database, go to config, and then scroll to the bottom here and make sure this box is checked. Display bookmark tab when selecting unit. I don't know why this option is here under game options, because it doesn't affect the game. It affects the development of the game, but make sure that's checked. So what is a bookmark unit, you ask? Well, if you go into your enemies for this map and go all the way to the right to bookmark, a bookmark unit is a unit that you can create and then spawn dynamically wherever you wish. It's basically a summonable unit, and it can be summoned under any allegiance that you wish. It can be an allied green unit, it can be a red enemy unit, or it can be a guest unit, which is a player unit that the player controls but does not get to keep from one map to the next. Summonable units, that's what bookmarks are primarily for, but we are going to use this to create a snag that will fall in whatever direction the player hits it from. So this is set up just like any other wall unit with the same AI and everything, and class, etc. But the difference is going to be the unit events, because there's going to be a lot more in the death event for this unit, let me tell you. So I have it set to spawn on the map at this position right here. You can see the gray chick unit. And why don't I just demonstrate what it does before I get into the technical aspect. You can see that since I hit it from the north, it created desk tiles towards the south. Let's try again. This time I attacked it from the east, so it created the desk tiles towards the west. And that time I attacked it from the south, so the desk tiles were created going north. See what I mean? That's what I've created. So, alright, I tried my best, but I honestly could not explain this to you verbally. It's very confusing to explain verbally and have it not, like, come out as gibberish. So all I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you that this is the death event for the snag that I'm creating. And I'm just going to let you look at what the event does with your own eyes. So it's all commented. You can see what the event triggers are. You can see what the actual events are. And I'm just going to scroll down here so you can see it with your eyes and you can try to understand what it does yourself, because I will probably just write a written tutorial instead of try to make a video tutorial, because that's much easier to explain for me instead of having to speak it. So there you are, that's everything. I am going to explain one thing that is new for people who are keeping up with my tutorials. Here in the change variable event, I have it set so that the ID of the battle loser is stored into this variable. What the battle loser thing means is that the battle loser is the most recent unit to be destroyed, and the battle winner is the most recent unit to destroy something, as in KO a unit. So that's what battle loser and battle winner mean. The rest you can hopefully comprehend for yourself, because I barely do, and I'm the guy who wrote all of this. So yeah, coming soon, a written tutorial with what all of this stuff means. So sometime I'm going to get on that, but until then, that's everything I have to say on destructible walls, snags, and things of that nature. So I hope I've helped out somebody who's hoping to implement that in their game. And of course, SRPG Studio is very versatile. You can add to this if you want. You can make it so that when a snag falls over and hits a unit, it harms that unit. You can do that too. Like, I've sometimes thought about how weird it would be to attack a snag and have it fall on top of me. So yeah, that is the conclusion of this tutorial. I will get around to that written tutorial as soon as possible, assuming people demand it. And yeah, look forward to the next episode of Broken Legacy. I'll see you later for that.